Hello everyone, thanks for joining the Spruikers. It's round 2 in the AFL. Good afternoon, Jake. How are you?
I'm okay, Hugh. How are you?
Very well, thank you. What did you learn from round 1, Jake?
Well, one thing in particular that sprang immediately to my attention was the fact that Essendon are crap, Tags.
I thought you might say that,
Anything
Jake.
from you?
No, but let's go and hear what Nat has to say at the news desk.
Thanks, Hugh. Well, St Kilda forward Justin Koschitzke will miss the next 3 weeks of football after being suspended for a head-high bump on Swan Nick Malcheski. New Hawk Josh Gibson has escaped a club-imposed suspension after the defender spent all Sunday night partying after the Grand Prix. Gibson has been fined by the club. To injury news, and Brisbane Lion Amon Buchanan will miss Thursday night's clash against Carlton after undergoing surgery on his broken thumb, and he is likely to miss the next 6 weeks. Geelong veteran Darren Milburn will be sidelined for at least the next fortnight after slightly tearing his hamstring in last weekend's game against Essendon. And Bulldogs defender Dale Morris will return to the side for its clash against Richmond on Sunday after he was a late withdrawal due to a virus last week. And that's what's making news in the world of footy. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Nat. Let's have a look at the round 2 games, beginning with Brisbane and Carlton at the Gabbatron. And Fev welcomes the Blues up to his new hometown. And Brisbane are going to start warm favourites, $1.38 and Carlton $3.45. Bit of value about Carlton, Jake.
Yeah, they are good value tags. I don't know that without Judd that they can win at the Gabba. I think they played an inferior opposition in Richmond last week, and that was telling in the margin. I think Carlton will be thereabouts the bottom half of the 8 this year, but I don't think they're strong enough to beat Brisbane at home this week. That said, I think they're good value, and I think the odds are too far apart for these two teams.
$1.38 Brisbane, $3.45 Carlton. We'll skip down a little bit further. There's some good rounds this week, plenty of value available. Adelaide versus Sydney at Football Park, $1.64 the Crows, $2.52 the Swans, who were impressive last week and perhaps even a little unlucky against St Kilda, and they look to be pretty good value, $2.52 against the Crows, who are a bit disappointing. Jake, can Swans cause a boil over here?
Don't see why not. Tags, can you explain to me how Adelaide, having lost to Freo by 7 goals or thereabouts last week, or 8 goals even, can be $1.64? I realise they're playing at home this week and they didn't last week, but gee whiz, Sydney never go down by far when they do.
That's right.
They travel well. They played well last week against the reigning grand finalists. I think they're massive overs at 2.52 Tags, and they're almost my value bet of the week.
I couldn't agree more. $2.52 the Swans, $1.64 Adelaide. We look further down to your mob, Jake. Essendon, $1.51 versus Fremantle, $2.84. Freo really impressive last week, beating the Crows, $2.84 against the Bombers at the MC. No, at the Dome.
At the Dome, at the Etihad.
They don't play the Dome well, the Dockers.
Or they don't. Traditionally, they haven't played any ground particularly well, as their record would suggest. But I would say the same thing as I did for Adelaide just a minute ago, as I would for Essendon.
You could almost flip these odds.
Massive unders. Maybe not flip them, but close to even money I'd have them starting. Wouldn't surprise if Essendon won, but way too short at 151. I'm laying at that price tag.
And $2.84 Freo. Geelong versus Hawthorn on Easter Monday at the MCG. The replay of the 2008 Grand Final. Hawthorn, again, value, $2.52. Reasonably impressive last week, despite who they were playing. And Geelong, $1.60. Geelong always start short in their games. The punters tend to come early on Betfair as well for the Cats.
Yeah.
But it does look a little bit lopsided here, and they could probably start around $1.80, $2.20.
Yeah, look, I think the fact that Hawthorn have had a month longer to prepare for this season than Geelong will be telling. I'm pretty comfortable tipping Hawthorn in this game. It wouldn't surprise again if Geelong won, but I think they're too short at 160. Geelong weren't that impressive at all last week. They clicked for a quarter, and if they do that for 4 quarters against Hawthorn, they'll win. But I'm pretty confident about Hawthorn, particularly at the odds of 2.52. Taggy.
Okay, no Ruckman Hawthorn, still no Sewell, no Young.
I thought Sewell was back, so there you go.
I don't think he is, but I think Buddy is back. But anyway,
Buddy's definitely back.
There has been a change in the premiership betting, which is remarkable. Given what happened over the weekend.
Baffling,
so not even sure people were watching round 1, Jake.
Yeah.
Still on holiday, still in Bali.
Essendon are favourites, so they weren't watching.
No, that's right. St Kilda, $4.90, our new premiership outright favourites, having just beaten the Swans. Geelong, $5, the Bulldogs, $6, and Collingwood tightened a little bit, $7.80. The Hawks into $10, and Adelaide on the drift, Brisbane marginally in, and then there's a massive gap to everyone else. It's probably a bit too early, isn't it?
It is, but look, I think round 1 showed that this is a wide open field, that any of probably 5 Victorian clubs can win. I tipped the Bulldogs last week to win the premiership, not getting off them yet, but they've drifted a couple of points, so backing them last week was probably a foolish thing for me to do. But nevertheless, one of the Victorian clubs should win the flag tag, so I'm confident by saying that.
Thank you, Jake. Let's go to see Nat, and we'll get her Betfair Big Spruik for the week.
The Betfair.
All right, guys, my Betfair Big Spruik this week is, of course, going to be the Hawks to get over the Cats on Easter Monday. I think Hawthorn offers some really good value there, and with Geelong just a little bit underdone, I think Hawthorn can pull it off. Should be a good game, Tags.
Thank you, Nat. Good to see you're going with the heart and not the head. I hope the Cats turn the tables anyway, at least on your prediction there. Jake, who do you make your Betfair Big Spruik?
I'm laying the West Coast Eagles this week, Tags. They played reasonably well against Brisbane.
$1.61 West Coast against Port Adelaide, $2.40.
Happy to lay it at nearly 2s on West Coast. I think Port Adelaide are going to be one of the improvers this season. West Coast will improve as well, but I think Port Adelaide will win.
So you're trying to win the backers' money on that side?
That's right. I've got Port Adelaide going for me by laying West Coast.
Because they're too short. Okay, I'm going to go for Sydney. I'll take Sydney to beat Adelaide in Adelaide. $2.52 I think is pretty good value given their form last week. $1.64 Adelaide, probably a bit unders given what they served up at Subiaco. So if you're on the punt this week, all the very best. We'll see you again for round 3.